Hello, my name is James Cruz, and I'm a teaching artist with the Vermont Arts Council. I'm here today to talk to you about the art of mindful journaling. So, probably all of you have heard a little something about journaling or have even practiced it yourself. But basically, all you really need is just a plain notebook. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can also use the notes on your phone, Google Docs, anything really that you have at your disposal to just capture your thoughts and to get some impressions down from your day. You can start journaling just by describing what goes on in a normal day for you, how you felt, the different thoughts that pass through your mind. Or you can also try going about it with a different intention, something a little more specific, perhaps. A lot of people nowadays make gratitude a part of their journaling. And science has actually shown us that if every day you write down 3 specific things for which you're grateful, and then say why for each one, you'll actually be much happier, much more grateful person. And as it turns out, you go through your day trying to notice those different aspects of life that make you grateful, those different objects, things that people say, or things that people do for you. It's a really powerful practice, and I try to do it as part of my practice of journaling every morning. Another way you might try journaling is to keep a kindness journal. So, especially during these turbulent and difficult times, I've found that keeping a kindness journal is one of the best ways to remind ourselves that people are still good, people are still really kind out there. So, what I'll do is write down things that I do for the loved ones in my life or that they do for me. Could be someone smiled at me, waved at me, perhaps someone let me go in front of them in the grocery store. It can be something very simple, or it can be something as big as someone telling you they love you or saying how much you mean to them. And so, what I do is just every day sit down and try to think of at least one kind thing that I did for myself or someone else, or a kind thing that they did for me. And I have found that this makes me look for different ways that I can actually be kind throughout my days. And I'm often looking for those moments when people are kind to me as well. And another way that you might try keeping a journal is, if you're so inclined, you might just use everything you read as a kind of prompt for getting you going. For me, because I'm a poet, I often will use poems that I encounter in my reading as just little nuggets to get me thinking about something or to get me writing about a specific time in my life. And so, what I want to offer to you all today is just a few poems of my own that you might use as journal writing prompts of your own. So, you can use some of the other ideas that I gave you. You can also use each of these poems as a prompt for writing in your own journal. And when you write, it doesn't have to be a poem in response. It doesn't have to be a story or essay. You don't even have to know what it is. Journaling, above all, should be for you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be anything that you show to anyone else or even that you ever share. It really should be just something that you enjoy doing, just a way of getting difficult thoughts onto the page. I almost always feel better, especially if I'm struggling with something, if I'm angry, sad, really confused. I'll write about it, and I always feel better afterwards. So you can use all of these methods in combination with one another, or just do them individually. It's entirely up to you. And as you watch this video, you're welcome to, of course, watch it all the way through, or you might also pause in between the poems I share to just take maybe 10 or 15 minutes, set a timer, and try writing in response to what I offer you. So what I'll do is read each poem and then give a little invitation for your own writing. And what I would encourage you to do is just put pencil or pen to page, or let your hands start typing. Just really write automatically the first things that come to you. And don't worry, always don't worry if it's right or wrong. So the first poem that I want to share with you is called Kindness. And this poem just came to me as a way of meditating on what kindness is, how it flows through us and flows through our lives. And it actually became a kind of list of the different kindnesses that I had noticed lately in my own life. So again, this is kindness. It circulates like blood in us, like rivers flowing into the ocean, or it moves through a room like air coaxed to blow cooler by the blades of an oscillating fan. It is the sweating glass of water your lover brought and left for you on the nightstand before bed. It is the woman I watched once on a plane, smoothing her daughter's hair back from her forehead, over and over, running her fingers through the curls until the girl slipped into a deep sleep, resting against her mother's shoulder. It is the held door, the pause that lets another go first, and you feel the heat of it pulsing near, when a father waits patiently while his son chooses a single ripe fig from a bin at the grocery store and holds it gingerly in his palm as if it were made of blown glass and might break open at any moment. So the invitation for this one, in a poem of your own or in a few paragraphs, you might just describe some of the kindnesses that you've recently witnessed in your own life. You might go through the day, the morning, or just the last week, something like that, and just see what comes to mind. You might want to write about just a single specific moment when you felt the heat of kindness rising up in you, when you felt it really close by. Or you might just make it a list, trying to be as specific as you describe the different elements as possible, really using the images to convey the feeling of the moment. So the next poem that I would like to share with you is called Clearly. And I wrote this poem one day after coming home from a long day of chores, going to the grocery store and running a bunch of errands. I was really tired, but just really happy. And I had just picked a bunch of strawberries out in the fields on the farm where my husband and I live. I had brought those inside, and it was one of those moments when I just thought, I don't need anything else to be happy. No drugs, no drinks, nothing else at all. And it was a very magical moment. So I'll share that with you. This is called Clearly. To see clearly, not needing a drink or pill or puff of any pipe to know I'm alive. To come home, peel off my sandals and step onto the cool tile floor, needing only the rush of water over strawberries I picked myself, and then a knife to trim the dusty green heads from each one, to watch them gleam cleanly in a colander in a patch of sun next to the sink. So the invitation for this one would be to describe a time when you felt really, really present, and when you just felt that you didn't need anything else in your life, when you felt truly, deeply happy, even if that happiness didn't last, even if some sadness or frustration came in later. Just describe that moment and what was happening, what were you feeling, what was coursing through you in that moment, and what made that moment come about for you. So again, you might just try to use really strong images and really strong sensory images as well. So including the senses of smell, taste, touch, the sight of light if there was any, or darkness, whatever comes to you from this very present moment that you've had. And the last poem that I'd like to share with you all is called Monarch. And I wrote this poem after reading a little bit about how a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, in this case specifically a monarch butterfly. and how we envision this as such a beautiful, sort of seamless process when the process of transformation and change often is much more difficult and really painful at times than we imagine. So this is called monarch. The butterfly does not break free triumphant. Once it claws through the chrysalis, it stands there shivering, new wings aching as they slowly fill with blood. It must keep its tiny eyes shut tight at first against the brightness and shimmer of a world it has never seen before, not like this. It must listen until a deeper voice whispers, "The flowers are waiting. Leave the skin of the old life far behind. Open your eyes and give in to the blue air that will carry you everywhere you need to go from now on." So the invitation for this poem is to describe a time in your life when you went through a similarly difficult transformation or some big change, when you felt like you were leaving the skin of the old life far behind, as I say in the poem, and really coming into your own, kind of becoming more truly who you are, your true self. And again, you might just describe what that felt like, the situation you were in, and how you managed to stay in the vulnerability of that moment without wanting to run away from it or without distracting yourself from it. Again, this is maybe describing a moment when you were really fully present and were allowing yourself to change into who you really are. So I want to thank you all for listening today. I hope you stay safe, well, and enjoy your time writing.